Hello everyone. Today we're representing a cooperative macroeconomics analysis on a four major market structure. My name is Joon and I'm joined with my team, Khoi and Polly. Over the next couple of minutes, we're going to explore the different market structure from perfect competition to monopoly shaping pricing, output, and economic efficiency in the real world market. Let's dive in. Introduction to market structure. Let's start with the fundamentals. Market structures are the organizational and competitive characteristic of a market that determines how firms behave and how price and output are set. Understanding market structure is crucial for three key reasons. First, they help us to predict firm strategies, whether companies will compete aggressively on price or focus on differentiations. Second, they'll review how competitive or concentrated the market is, which affect both business opportunities and regulatory concerns. Third, and perhaps the most importantly, they show us how consumers' welfare are affected. As well, we see through these presentations, the spectrum range from perfect competition and consumer benefits, from the lowest price and the highest efficiency, all the way to monopolies, from a single firm dominates. In between, we have monopolistic competition and oligopolies, each with unique characteristics. Let's examine structure in detail. Perfect competition. We begin with perfect competition, an idealized market structure that serves as a benchmark for evaluating other markets. Perfect competition is characterized by five key features. First, there's many firms and many buyers, meaning no single participant can influence the market. Second, products are homogeneous, completely identical, so consumers have no reason to prefer one salad over another. Third, there is a perfect information, meaning all buyers and sellers have complete knowledge of the price and products. Fourth, there are no barriers to enter and exit, allowing firms to freely enter or leave the market. Fifth, and most importantly, firms are price takers. They must accept the market price and face horizontal demand curve. From an efficiency standpoint, perfect competition achieves the best possible outcome. Price equal marginal cost, making an allocatively efficient resource are distributed optimally. Firms are also produced at minimum average cost, achieving productive efficiency. However, in a long run, firms earn zero economic profit because any profit attracts new entrants, driving price down to break even level. Notice on the graph, on the demand curve, is perfectly horizontal, intersecting with the marginal cost at equilibrium. Real-world examples. The agricultural examples here. The market provides the clearest real-world example in the perfect competition. Let's look at the corn market specifically. Thousands of small farmers across the United States are globally produce essentially the identical corn. There is no meaningful quality difference that would justify the price premium. Because the market is so large and fragmented, not a single farmer can influence the market price. Farmers are true price takers. They check commodities exchange each day to see if what price will they receive. Information is readily available through USDA reports, commodity exchange, and market data service. Keep the market transparent and competitive. Look at the chart right here. Showing the corn price over time, we see how the price fluctuate based on the global supply and demand factors. In the USDA, aka United States Department of Agriculture, forecasts corn will drop at around $4 to $5 per bushel in the future. For the table show the global corn supply data. Notice the ending stock of 290.3 million metric tons for 2024 to 2025. These price movements aren't controlled by a single entity. They're purely a result of supply and demand force. When production increases or demand falls, product price drop immediately. When droughts hits major growing regions or demand surge, price rise. This is perfect competition in action.
Now let's examine the complete opposite. Monopoly. A monopoly exists when a single company is the sole seller of a product with no close substitutes. This defining characteristic are one seller dominates the entire market, creating high barriers to entry that prevent competitors from entering. The product is unique with no close substitutes, and crucially, the firm is a price maker or price searcher. It can set prices rather than accepting market prices. Unlike perfect competitions, monopolies face a downward sloping demand curve. If they want to sell more, they must lower prices. This creates a key insight. Marginal revenue is less than the demand curve because lowering prices to sell one more units mean getting less revenue on all previous units. From an efficiency perspective, monopolies are problematic. Price exceeds marginal cost, creating allocative inefficiency. Too little is produced from society perspective. Monopolies typically don't produce at minimum cost, making them productively inefficient as well. Higher profit for the firm through customer exploitations, lower output, and higher prices compared to competitive markets. The price showed this clearly. The monopolists maximize profit where marginal revenue equals marginal cost, but then charges a higher price on the demand curve, creating dead weight loss for society. Moving on to monopoly real example. Utility companies provide excellent example for the real-world monopolies. This map shows electricity provider across Texas. Electricity provider holds exclusive rights to operate in specific service area. Because maintaining grid infrastructure requires massive capital investment, power plants, transmission line, substations, and distributions network. Having multiple competing electric grid in the same area would be economically wasteful and impractical. Similarly, water utilities required enormous investment in treatment facilities and underground pipe networks that can last decades. Once the infrastructure is in place, competition becomes impractical. Natural gas distribution follows the same pattern. It relies on single pipelines network, so one supplier typically controls each regional market. These are called natural monopolies because the economics of the industry, specifically the extreme high fixed cost and low marginal cost, make it most efficient to have a single provider. However, because monopolies can exploit customers, these utilities have heavier regulated. Government agencies set maximum rates, mandate service standards, and oversee operations to protect customer welfare while still allowing companies to earn reasonable returns. Monopolistic competitions combine elements of both monopoly and perfect competitions, hence the name. This market structure sits between two extremes and is actually quite common in the real world. The key characteristics are many firms operate in the market, but unlike perfect competitions, they sell differentiated products. These products serve similar needs but differ in branding, quality, features, or marketing. Firm have some controls over price due to its product differentiations. If McDonald's raises price slightly, it won't lose all its customers because people have brand preferences. However, there are low barrier to entry and exits, so new competitors can enter relatively easily. Let's look at efficiency and pricing. Firms face downward sloping demand curves, but these curves are more elastic, flatter than monopoly demand curve because substitutes are readily available. So in the short run, firm may earn economic profits. But here's the key. In the long run, these profits attract new entrants. New restaurants open, new brands emerge, and this entry process continues until all economic profits are eliminated and firms earn only normal profit. Monopolistic competition is neither allocatively efficient. Price still exceeds marginal cost nor productively efficient because firms operate with exceeds capacity. They don't produce on minimum average cost. The graph shows this long-run equilibrium where the demand curve is tangled in the average cost curve. The fast food industry perfectly illustrated monopolistic competitions. This map shows the most popular fast food restaurants across different U.S. states. The American fast food market includes many firms: McDonald's, Burger King, Wendy's, Taco Bell, Chick-fil-A, and numerous regional chains like In-N-Out Burger in the West, Culver in the Midwest, and Burgerville in the Pacific Northwest. Most sell similar core products: burgers, fries, chicken sandwich, but each differentiated itself through taste, profits, advertising campaign, price deal, and brand identity. Chick-fil-A emphasizes service, quality, and chicken. In-N-Out Burger focuses on freshness and simplicity. McDonald's competes on convenience and value. Entry barriers are relatively low, but opening up restaurants requires capital investment. New chains and do enter the market. We've seen this with fast casual chains like Five Guys and Shake Shack disrupting traditional fast food. This product differentiations give each firm some pricing power. Chick-fil-A can charge premium prices because customers value their specific offering. But that power is limited because if prices go too high, customers will switch to substitutes. This is monopolistic competition in action. Many competitors, differentiated products, and some like limited market power.
Oligopoly. Oligopoly represents a limited competition where a small number of large firms dominate the market. This structure creates a unique strategic dynamic. The defining features are few large firms control most of the market shares, creating a high barrier of entry due to economic of scale, brand recognition, or capital requirements. The products may be either identical, like steel or oil, or differentiated, like automobiles. The critical characteristic of oligopolies is strategic behavior and independence. Each firm must consider how rivals will react to its own decisions. For example, Ford cut prices, General Motors must respond. If Toyota introduces a new technology, Honda and Volkswagen must consider their own counter strategy. This independence creates two possible outcomes. First, Collusion. Firms may cooperate explicitly or implicitly to fix prices, limit outputs, and act like a collective monopoly. This is cartel behavior, which is illegal in most countries but still occurs today. When firms collude, prices are higher than perfect competition, and efficiency suffers. Second, competitive oligopolies. Firms compete aggressively on prices, quality, and innovation. In this scenario, outcomes are more closely resemble to perfect competition with lower prices and greater efficiency. The graph illustrates this. The kinked demand curve model explains price rigidity. Firms are reluctant to change prices because rivals' reactions are asymmetric. The collusion versus competition graph show how different oligopolies' behavior produce vastly different prices and output levels. See here. The global market automobile industry exemplifies oligopoly. This chart shows the top-selling car brands in 2023. The market is dominated globally by a handful of major firms. Toyota leads with 8.57 million vehicles and 11.7% market share, followed by Volkswagen, Honda, Ford, and Hyundai. These top 15 manufacturers control vast majority of global market in the automobile industry. Why is it so difficult to enter? Barrier of entry is enormous. Manufacturers need massive production facilities costing billions of dollars, sophisticated technology for design and engineering, complex global supply chain, and many requirements for safety and emission regulation. A new entry would need tens of billions of capital just to compete with these larger brands. The independence is evident, though. When Tesla pioneered new electric vehicles and achieved premium pricing for them, the traditional manufacturers responded with their own EV programs. When one manufacturer offers 0% financing, others quickly match it to avoid losing the market share. These firms constantly monitor each other's pricing, new models release, and technology innovation. This mutual independence, where each firm succeeds depends on their rivals' actions, is a prime example of oligopolies. The result is a stable market share, significant price coordination, and competition focused on featuring and branding more than pricing. Now, let's bring everything together with a direct comparison. This table and these graphs summarize the key differences across all four market structure, starting with perfect competition. So, with perfect competition, we see the lowest price because the price equals marginal cost and highest output level with highest efficiency. Both allocative and productive efficiency are achieved. The demand curve, as shown in the graph, is perfectly horizontal, meaning firms are pure price takers. Moving to monopoly. We here find the highest price because price significantly exceed marginal costs. The lowest output monopolies restrict production to maintain highest price and considerably inefficient, creating a dead weight loss for society. Graph B here showed that the downward sloping curve demand curve with a marginal revenue below it. Monopolistic competition falls in the middle. Prices are higher than perfect competition because price exceed marginal cost, but lower than monopoly due to competitive pressure from substitute. Output is less than perfect competition, but more than monopoly. The structure is neither allocatively nor productively efficient due to excess capacity. Graph C show the downward sloping but relatively elastic demand curve, right here. Finally, oligopoly produce mixed outcomes depending on the firm behavior. Price and output fall somewhere in between perfect competition and monopoly. When oligopolies collude, outcomes resemble monopoly. When they compete, outcomes approach perfect competition. Efficiency varies according. So, graph D shows the demand curve for oligopolies, often modeled with a kinked demand curve or collusive agreement. The key insight: market structure are fundamentally determine economic outcomes for both firm and consumers. Let's conclude with a key takeaway from our analysis. First, perfect competitions benefit consumers the most, delivering low prices, high outputs, and maximum efficiency. It's the ideal benchmark, though rarely fully achieved in reality though. Second, monopolies harm consumers' welfare through high prices and low outputs. But we should note that monopolies' profit can encourage innovation, particularly through patent protection that rewards research and development. Third, monopolistic competition offers consumers valuable products, variety, and choice. This comes with a cost of some inefficiency and higher prices compared to perfect competition. Fourth, oligopolies present a double-edged sword. They can harm when firms collude to fix prices, but can drive efficiency and innovation when firms compete aggressively. The overarching lesson is that market structure fundamentally shape how firms set price and determines quantity. Overall economics welfare, the sum of consumer and producer surplus, depends critically on market power, barrier of entry, and firm behavior. Understanding these structures help policymakers design efficient regulations, help business develop competitive strategies, and help consumers understand markets they are participating in. Here are all the sources that we use in our presentation. Thank you for watching.